Hi everybody! Today's video is all about building up our homestead while avoiding debt and doing it the Amish way. I'm going to share with you all kinds of things today, from making my own whisk for in my kitchen, baking my own bread, and also all of the things that we are doing to remain debt-free, and it's the Amish way. So what does that mean? I hope you stay tuned. I just really love using my bread machine. It mixes up the bread while I can go about my business, getting my work done. And it's so simple and economical to make a loaf of bread. And I use my own bread machine mix, so it takes less than 3 minutes to mix it up together. All right, so let's go ahead and let's shape the bread. I am just making a cinnamon and sugar bread loaf, more like a breakfast bread. And I might have to put a jacket on. It's getting rather chilly out here. And I'm telling you what, there is nothing like homemade bread rising and baking in the kitchen. It is amazing. Now I normally use a rolling pin to roll it out, but I don't really need to. I'm just gonna shape it with my hands. And this is just cinnamon and sugar. And I'm just gonna roll it up. It's nice and warm, really nice and soft. And now I just have a bread pan with some of the parchment paper in. You really wouldn't need the parchment paper, but I like to put it in the bottom. And then I'm just gonna lay it like that. Now some people like to score their bread. I don't really. Sometimes I do, most times I don't. Sprinkle a little brown sugar on the top, and we're just gonna let it rise till it's double. Believe it or not, the greenhouse is the best place to rise. I'm always trying new things, and I found a video on how to make your own whisk using a Christmas tree. Well, I didn't have any Christmas tree, but I have some evergreens, and I decided to see if I could make my own little whisk. It was a pattern from the 1800s, and in the description box below, I will share with you the resources on how you can make your own whisk. It was a real fun project. It took me about a half an hour, and the first one that I made wasn't as nice as the second one. The more I got making them, the better they got, and it's just a fun project if you want to find something just in your own home to make something more like the pioneers. And now it's time to get my sun oven out. Now I find here in Pennsylvania it does not work at all in the wintertime. I know people say as long as there's sun it will work. I just can't get it to work, that it works efficiently in the sun in the wintertime. So I had it stored away all winter long, and now I just need to get it out and really clean it up and pop reflector sides, and that way there's no dust on them and it will work a lot better. I like to use it to rise a bread dough and to do a lot of cooking on it. So what I figured out was, if there's something I need, maybe I can research how I can make it. From little things to bigger things that we are doing. We are debt free, and what we're trying to do is establish our homestead and remain debt free. Not go out to the store and buy the most expensive thing, but clean up, fix up, and just use what we got. And that's the Amish way. Today I'm going to share with you a few tips on how the Amish remain debt-free and all of the things that they like to do. Like putting water in our gray water system. It helps keep our septic running really good and strong. Doing things to prevent large expenses. And learning how to do things maybe a little bit unconventional. It was freedom. Because we aren't in debt, we can work at our leisure because we don't have to work extremely hard to pay off lots of debt. So we're working at our leisure and we're doing things in our own time. Just for instance, my husband is still edging the property because he's going to be mulching. And learning how to do things ourselves instead of paying enormous amounts of money for someone else to do it. We drive an older vehicle that's in perfect condition, but it has over 200,000 miles on it. So that would be the equivalent to be like the Amish, driving older things, taking care of what we have. All of those things can make a huge difference as far as your spending habits. And I just learned that recently today, by taking my sun oven out, cleaning it up, and putting it back into use. Lots of things I had that I want to take care of even more, so that way they last me many, many years. The problem with today's society is we can buy something new, but it may only last us a year, 2 or 3 years, compared to the 1950s, where things lasted over 50, 60 years. We like to cut costs any way we can. When we get tools, we like to get used tools that are taken good care of. We like to actually find the vintage pieces, because the vintage things last forever. I have a garden trowel that is probably from 1940s, and it's taped probably for the last 20 years, and it still works amazing. So we try to find tools that are from the 50s and 60s, even the 70s. After that, things aren't made the same way. By doing all of this, we are building an emergency fund. When you hear me talk about we're living on $800 and now I said $700 a month, that's simply because we're trying to build up our emergency fund and retirement. So you can see how that can make a huge difference. Now, I am 56 years old. I won't retire for quite a while. And my husband is considered retirement, but he has a few years of things that he wants to get established as far as things here in the homestead that require a lot of work. He's realizing now already that he can put in the big days of work, but then he needs to rest. And he's trying to get some of these major projects done now. That way they'll last us another 20 years before they need to be done again. We can learn a lot from the Amish lifestyle. And every time I talk about the Amish, people want to bring up maybe the negative parts of it. But there's so many different positive things that we can learn from the Amish and people that live a plain lifestyle. You know, not talking about the religious side of it, but talking about in general, how they handle their finances, how they conduct their lives. You know, people will always say about the dog kennels and, you know, all of the different dog things, you know, that how the Amish are and how they treat their animals. There's always bad apples in every group of people, no matter who it is. But we can focus on the positive sides of any type of lifestyle, really. There's a positive side to how the Amish live in a simple way of living without all the modern conveniences of this world. And as far as monetary ways that we can become like them as far as budgeting and taking control of our finances, I find it very intriguing and a very enlightening. Now, I come from the Mennonite background, which is a lot the same. So I grew up, you know, with being very frugal, to the point where it's not the kind of frugal that you see on YouTube these days. It's beyond all of that. My mom sewed all of her own clothing. My mother was extremely frugal. I mean, I could never be as frugal as her. And so there is just a whole aspect to living a frugal life that the Amish and the Mennonites can provide that really I think we need to bring back into modern society. I do. I really think there are some points that their lives make that we could all benefit from. You take it with a grain of salt, like my mom would say. Take what you want with whatever you're studying, use it to your benefit and your ability, and the parts that don't matter, or the parts that don't correlate with your life, don't use those. And I found that to be really true. Take care, everyone, and we'll see you guys on the next one. I'm going to go ahead and start weeding some of my beautiful berries. They are really starting to push lots of leaves.